Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Journeyman Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Cade. The other half of the show today is not here. His name is Garrett. He's my cousin, also very close friend, and the other half of the show. But he is not here today. We are going to be talking about the XFL today, man. I've been waiting to talk about the XFL for a while now, just because I didn't want to jump too far into things and go like too into depth if it wasn't gonna be a big talking point, or if it really wasn't interesting. I wanted to see, with new ownership and everything, how the league was gonna look long term, past just 1 week. What type of fan turnouts there were gonna be, just so I can get a whole feel for the league before I come on here and I talk about it with knowledge that I've gathered just by watching the games. I've been a big fan of it. I love it. Um, I'm just a big football fan in general. Obviously, love the NFL, but being a player, and also just being around football since I was born. Just always watching it, being going to games before I could play, and then playing for a long time, all the way from flag through high school. Doing that whole thing, but you know, um, I just really love the game and love watching it, and I've become kind of a student of the game. Um, you know, doing a lot more, even though I'm not playing anymore, doing a lot more film analysis and things like that. So I just enjoy watching the game on every level. Um, I'm not a big fan of the fan control football league or anything like that, just because I still want the game. I still want to see the game played the way it should be played. Just because football is football. Play it the right way. That's how I feel about it. But um, I love watching the XFL. I love watching bounce back players come back into a league and get another chance. I love guys that we've never seen before get a chance. I love small stories like the ones that they show on Player 54, the documentary about the XFL. Um, just things like that. I love the underdog of this league, what the X means. Um, you know, all of that. I'm just a big fan of everything that The Rock is doing with the league, along with his woman co-owner. I'm drawing a blank on her name, but she's very impressive, very powerful lady. Um, very professional, and you can see she really has a image in her head of what she wants to do with this league, and I'm here to see all of that. But that's kind of my introduction to the XFL. We're just going to be taking off straight from week 5 and just kind of the opinions of some of the teams around the league, some of the players on those teams, things that I've seen leading up to this point and in this past week, uh, new situations, things like that. Just kind of giving you guys an overview of what I've seen so far and an overview of week 5 in the XFL, since we are now halfway officially through the season. And then we are also going to do my week 6 predictions for the XFL and kind of why my predictions are what they are. But moving forward, we have let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 teams around the league. I had to count that out just to make sure I wasn't messing that up. I have it right here. If you're wondering what I'm looking at, I have it all written down and everything. But the first team I really want to talk about, man, and the one that, in my opinion, has drawn the most PR, the most attention, um, things like that, is the Sea Dragons, the Seattle Sea Dragons. Down in Seattle, they are the team with Josh Gordon, of course. That's probably the big name player that everyone knows that's in the league and doing things like that. But he's being thrown to by Ben DiNucci. And the thing about Ben DiNucci, man, is we actually saw him in Cowboys Hard Knocks, so we kind of got a intro into who he is as a person. Kind of what type of personality he was in Hard Knocks, and then now seeing him in the XFL, kind of in a new environment where they mic up all the players, and you can constantly hear what he's saying. You can kind of see his energy, the way he plays the game. Ben DiNucci has been pretty impressive. Now two uh he's had 2 games this season where he's thrown 2 to 3 picks in a game. But other than those games, one of those games he won actually, but he also has done some pretty impressive things. Led his team to a 4-2 record with the help of another name that's not Josh Gordon on the receiving corps, Ja'Cour Pearson. Ja'Cour Pearson might be one of the biggest names in the XFL, if not the biggest name in the XFL right now that everyone's talking about, because he's the leading receiver. I think he's 5'7", 5'8", something like that. Super little guy, but is a dog. I mean, he just gets open. He's just a playmaker. He can make plays in the open space. He can make big plays, just big catches in general. And like I said, he's the leading receiver in the XFL right now. So it's just clear to see, like, this guy really knows, this guy really, this guy really shows that underdog, what the XFL wants, because this guy came out of nowhere, played at Ole Miss, got an opportunity with the Giants, and then now, he's in the XFL, but he gets an opportunity because he goes to the combine or this out of league combine, not even one of the combines that the league held, but just this random event. He gets spotted there, gets a tryout for the Sea Dragons, and makes the team. And all of a sudden, coming out of nowhere, we had no idea who Ja'Cour Pearson was. Wasn't a big name coming out of college, nothing like that. Now he's the leading receiver and one of the best players, if not the best player in the XFL. And that's just truth be told. Sorry, something weird is going on with my throat right now. But I'm gonna talk through it because this is what we do over here. But yeah, no, I think the Sea Dragons are heading in a really nice direction. They're actually in the same division as my favorite team in the XFL, which is the next team we're going to talk about, the Battlehawks. I got 2 names from the Battlehawks. Hakeem Butler. Okay? I'm going to keep preaching Hakeem Butler till the day I die over here on this podcast, because Hakeem Butler is a dog. He is a dog. The dude, got drafted in the 4th round by the 3rd or 4th round by the Arizona Cardinals a while back. Same class as that. It was that Andy Isabella class with Josh Rosen and them. That class. Hakeem Butler was a dog coming out of college. I was preaching his name. I was banging the table for my team at the time to draft, or my team, sorry, at the time to draft him when he was coming out, and try to snag him in the 4th and 5th round. But, Arizona got him. It didn't really work out just because they had other receivers there at the time, like Larry Fitzgerald was still there. Some of those guys like that. But, with with Hakeem Butler also getting injured a bunch, he ended up getting cut, moving around the league. And sorry, like I said, my throat's weird right now. But moving around the league, he had some trouble. And now he's in the XFL, but he's had a couple games where they literally throw him the ball 7-8 times in a row. Cause he's unstoppable. Dude's 6'6". He bounced, like I said, he was an NFL talent. Still probably runs a 4.4, 4.5. And, dude can play tight end. Dude can play outside receiver. He can play slot. Just a very good talent. And I think he'll honestly be back in the league next season, or should be back in the league next season. If not, he'll be right back in the XFL getting paid probably more money because he'll be a premier player at that point in the league for the XFL. The Battlehawks also have AJ McCarron. Love me some AJ McCarron. I think he's a cool dude. Big Southern guy, won 2 national championships, went to 3 in college, and then bounced around the NFL. I think he even started a playoff game. He's done some things, but he wanted to come to the XFL to play for his sons because they wanted to see him play. They missed seeing him play, so he said he came to the XFL to be able to play and be able to put the pads on every, I guess, Saturday or whenever the hell the XFL. Like they play on a bunch of different days, so yeah, but he's been impressive as well. Has that good connection with Hakeem Butler and some of the other receivers on that team. But also Brian Hill. Brian Hill has been a great running back for the Battlehawks. I've enjoyed watching him run. Brian Hill played for the Packers and I think the Lions, if I'm not mistaken. I remember him on the Packers though. But I guess he didn't make it in the NFL, kind of fell out. Wasn't really getting calls anymore, so he went to the XFL to play for the Battlehawks, and he's the second leading rusher in the league right now. So he's doing his thing, and powering the Battlehawks to a 4-2 record, same as the Sea Dragons. So they are tied in the division. Both teams on the upside right now. Also coming off a fresh win yesterday, the Battlehawks beat the Vipers, who's the next team we're going to talk about. The Vipers are currently 1-5. Terrible, man. The only team that they have beat is the, I guess, winless Guardians. The Guardians are 0-6. We'll get to them in a second, but I really want to talk about the Vipers because it's a very strange situation. I thought, number one, I think the biggest storyline that no one is talking about with this team, where is Martavis Bryant? Martavis Bryant he claimed in player 54 that he still runs a 4.2, 4.3. He's 31. He's been at the top of the NFL in terms of receivers. He's been in that top 15, top 20 conversation in the NFL before for receivers. And he was a bigger name that got signed to the XFL because of who he was and trying to make a comeback. And I haven't seen the dude. I mean, I see him on the field, but I don't see him get open. I don't see him making impact really on the top 50 list of players that actually came out, I think, this morning. I didn't see him on that list at all in the whole top 50. So, yeah, I want to talk about that because Martavis Bryant, all talk, no walk, maybe. I don't know. Bad signing, maybe. I don't know. Is he done? Something to talk about. But also, I really want to pay attention to Luis Perez because I think that's been the bright spot of this team. The Vipers, they've been up and down. Obviously, more down than up at 1-5, but Luis Perez seems to be that kind of constant, stabilizer. And the fact that he beat out Brett Hundley is, it speaks volumes because that's an NFL quarterback or a former NFL quarterback, and you're beating him out as a guy that no one's really ever heard of before, at least not me. So, maybe the Vipers on the upside next season, depending on how many players they can retain. But at 1-5 and the rest of this season, the way that they've looked, I really don't like it, especially their performance against the Battlehawks last night, only scoring 6 points. Yeah, that's not going to cut it. So, yeah, the Vipers are definitely the second worst team in the league, behind the Guardians, who are officially the worst team in the league, and the next team I want to talk about. They're one and only bright spot, in my opinion, is they have had some close games, right? They have had games where they lose right at the end, but it doesn't matter. Almost only matters in horseshoes and hand grenades, as everyone says. Um, and you're 0-6, so you're winless, and that's the reality. Doesn't matter how close you got, you didn't win. Um, and your one and only bright spot is Cody Latimer, who I'm banging the table for to be back in the league, man. After seeing what I've seen from him, Cody Latimer, in my opinion, is top 15 player in this league, top 10 player in this league, really. I think Cody Latimer has shown that he is still an effective receiver. He's playing a tight end wide receiver role, so he's blocking too, doing a lot of tight end routes as well, and showing his versatility as a football player, as an athlete. And that's what I really like to see. I really like to see Cody Latimer out there doing that, because it just speaks volumes to, the work that he's put in, and I think he should get an NFL workout very, very soon, after he's done with this league. But yeah, man, the next team is kind of the opposite. The DC Defenders, they're 5-0 at this point. They are the only undefeated team left in the XFL. Abram Smith, the leading rusher in the XFL, is an absolute dog. Had a game where he had like 24 carries and like 226 yards or something like that in one game. Yes. Derek King. I've been loving Derek King for a while. Really wanted him to go to the Ravens, just because I think that would be such a good match for him to sit under Lamar Jackson and Tyler Huntley in them. I would have loved to see Derek King in that Ravens quarterback room. But Derek King has shown his versatility with his legs. Hasn't really thrown the ball too much, but what he can do with his legs and as an athlete, he is very, very useful. Because he also does have a rocket of an arm. So right when you expect him not to, he can still throw the ball and do his thing. As a football player and just as a competitor, in my opinion, he's been better on this team than Jordan Ta'amu. I think that's how you say it. But I think he's the reason more than Jordan is that they are 5-0. Along with Michael Joseph on the defensive side of the ball, who is probably, if not the best, he's the second best DB in this league right now. Michael Joseph has been an absolute dog, has come up with the interceptions at all the right times. So, yeah, the Defenders are just some dogs. They're going to keep rolling. 5-0. Yeah. And right behind them would be the Roughnecks, who, they have the sack leader. Their defense has been absolutely rocked. They also have probably one of the better if not the best quarterback, the second best quarterback in this league, Brandon Silvers. Sadly, John Trey Kirkland, is out for the year. Their best receiver. He had a chest injury. He just got the news that he's out for the rest of the season, which is a heartbreaking thing because he's already an underdog. He's already fighting for a spot. And then right when he's finding some success, you get hit with that. That's not cool, man. So prayers up to him to get better. And yeah, man, I really like the Roughnecks, coached by Wade Phillips. Wade Phillips is a dog of a defensive coordinator as well. And I think that's the reason why they've been so good. But Max Borghi is also an honorable mention on this team. Just a solid running back, especially in the receiver game. Literally is the XFL Christian McCaffrey, as everyone has been calling him. I see the comparison. Makes sense to me. Really like the Roughnecks. Probably my second favorite team in this league, just because they're so fun to watch on both sides of the ball. And they play to the whistle. The only team they lost to was the Defenders. So it just proves that they are kind of that, it's kind of like that Bills-Chiefs, rivalry. Who's going to win it, just comes down to, the game, what's going to happen in the game. So, yeah. I like the Roughnecks. Cool team. And sitting at 4-1. The Renegades, Kyle Sloter and Sal Cannella, the tight end. Sal Cannella is a guy that not a lot of people have heard about, but has been the leading receiver on the Renegades, the Arlington Renegades. I'm sorry, that's how I meant to say it, but the Renegades are in Arlington. They're the blue team with the little, like, I don't know, the A or whatever it is on the side of the helmet, or the R. I'm sorry. Uh, but yeah, Sal Cannella, the tight end, has been an absolute dog, leading receiver on that team, catching the ball from Kyle Sloter, who's a former NFL guy, but I think he's going to find some redemption and possibly get another NFL job after he's done here in the XFL, just from what he's been able to do, leading the Renegades to a 3-2 record, which is a solid record. Probably the most middle of the pack team, because they've shown flashes and then they've been awful at times too. So, yeah, I don't know. The Renegades kind of hot and cold, but I do like them as a team. And I'm rooting for Sal Cannella to be in the NFL here soon, because he's shown that he can be a dog. He's made some really tough catches. So yeah. And then finally, the Brahmas. They are 1-4. They have done really nothing. The only victory they have is the Guardians. And the Guardians are 0-6, like I said. So, Jack Cohn is really their only bright spot, man. I also think TJ Vasher's on that team. I think if TJ Vasher's on that team, TJ Vasher has also been a bright spot for them. But Jack Cohn is really the kind of the stabilizer on that team, in my opinion. And that's really all I have to say about them. They're 1-4. And in my opinion, they play today, but in my opinion, they've been the most boring team to watch. Just not a lot. I don't know. That's just my opinion. But yes, moving on from week 5 and kind of what's been going on, I want to jump into my predictions for today. Week 6. Let's talk week 6, man. We have the Battlehawks and Vipers. That game happened yesterday. I did pick the Battlehawks previously because they are my favorite team, so I was rocking with them regardless, but also just because they look like the better team on paper. I wasn't being biased. But the Battlehawks beat the Vipers yesterday. 29-6, I believe, was the final score. Yeah, whooped them. Another L for the Vipers. The next game I want to talk about is the Brahmas versus Renegades, the game that is going on today at 1 p.m. my time, at least. The Brahmas versus the Renegades. I'm going to pick the Renegades to win this game just because, like I said, the Brahmas have been the most boring team, in my opinion, to watch. No real pop on either side of the ball. Haven't really shown a whole lot of ability to move the ball downfield, a lot of 3-and-outs, just not a very efficient offense, and the defense, has been hot and cold. So I'm going to go with the Renegades because they just seem more talented on the offensive side of the ball. The Roughnecks is going to be my pick for this one, but they are going against the Defenders this week, who is, like I said, the only undefeated team. But I think the Roughnecks are better than the Defenders on paper and from what they've shown on film. The Roughnecks have one of the most high-powered offenses in this league, if not the most high-powered offense in this league, and the best defense in this league. DC has a really good defense too, but in my opinion, the Roughnecks have a better pass rush. And the Defenders' only real way to move the ball downfield so far has been to run the ball. So, and I think the Roughnecks have the best run defense in the league at this point, right now. And, with the Defenders' only way being to run the ball and them having the best run defense, it kind of counteracts itself. I know the Defenders won the first matchup, but I think the Roughnecks are going to come back and get this one, and it'll be a nice little rivalry. So, yeah. And then finally, we have the Sea Dragons versus the Guardians. This is not even a question to me. Sea Dragons all the way over the Guardians. The Guardians, you're 0-6. You've had a few games here and there, but there's a reason you're 0-6. The Sea Dragons are on a hot streak. They've been winning games like crazy. They've been on a 4-game win streak. I think that one's going to be a whooping. So, yeah. But that closes out my Week 6 predictions, and that closes out the XFL talk for today. I appreciate everyone who tuned in. Like I said, missed my cousin and my co-host on today's episode, but glad you guys tuned in. Always thankful, always grateful. Please do subscribe, leave a comment. Give me a thumbs up if even if you hated it or disagree with me. The support's always appreciated. Always appreciate you guys tuning in. Thank you, and we are